So, what if you could understand the core logic of basically every religion and philosophy in the entire world, just by understanding the difference between the numbers 1 and 2? It's a really powerful, kind of provocative idea, and that's what we're going to dive into today. I mean, just think about it for a second. There are thousands of belief systems, right? You've got your major world religions, ancient tribal beliefs, all these modern spiritual movements. The sheer variety is just staggering. It feels almost impossible to get a handle on it all. But what if I told you that according to the framework we're exploring, there are really only two? Yep, that's the claim from our source material, which is based on the work of theologian Dr. Peter Jones. And the idea is that underneath all that crazy complexity, every single worldview boils down to one fundamental choice between two ultimate realities. All right, so here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off by introducing this theory of two. Then we'll define the core concepts, which are oneism and twoism. After that, we'll trace the history of these ideas, which is actually pretty surprising. And finally, we'll get into why any of this really matters right now. Okay, so let's get into this core idea. The theory basically argues that every belief system on the planet runs on one of two, well, let's call them operating systems. And it all comes down to a simple fundamental choice between one or two. So the first worldview is called oneism. It's really just a catchier name for the philosophical concept of monism. It comes from the Greek word monos, which means one. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but incredibly profound. It's that everything, and I mean everything from stars to stones to your own thoughts, is all just part of one single divine interconnected reality. There are no ultimate distinctions, you see, because it's all one. And then in direct opposition, you've got dualism or duality. This worldview insists on a fundamental, unbridgeable distinction. Reality isn't one big thing, it's two. There is a transcendent, eternal creator, and then there's everything else, the creation. And that line between them, that's the most important line in the entire universe. So this is really where the two realities collide. The choice between these two systems, it's not just some philosophical exercise. It changes absolutely everything about how you see the world. Now, the source material does something really interesting here. It connects these ancient ideas to some very modern language. It frames oneism as a non-binary view of reality, a perspective where all the sharp lines between, say, good and evil or human and divine ultimately just melt away. They're seen as an illusion. In stark contrast, it frames twoism as a binary view, where that one core distinction, creator and creation, isn't just real, it's the most important reality there is. So the model for twoism, which draws from the theologian Cornelius Van Til, is beautifully simple. Just picture two completely separate circles. One circle is the creator, self-existent, eternal. The other circle is the entire created universe. They are totally distinct and they never overlap. Simple as that. And the oneism model? Even simpler. It's just one big circle. Everything you can possibly imagine. Gods, people, animals, rocks, even our thoughts. It's all contained right inside this one single, all-encompassing reality. There's nothing outside of it because it is everything. Now, this whole framework might sound pretty new, but the idea of oneism is incredibly ancient. The source actually traces its family tree back through centuries and across all sorts of cultures, showing how this same basic idea keeps popping up again and again, just in different clothes. And you can really see this historical thread stretching back for thousands of years. The source really focuses on this, arguing the idea kicks off with the ancient Greeks trying to figure out the one single substance behind everything. Then it flows through Plato's idea of a great chain of being, which connects everything up to the divine. And it finds a powerful voice in Gnosticism's belief that there's a little divine spark trapped inside all of us. Fast forward to the 20th century, and it even resurfaces with the psychologist Carl Jung and his concept of a unified reality, the unus mundus. You know, there's probably no better symbol for this than the Ouroboros. That's the snake eating its own tail. It's often inscribed with the ancient Greek phrase hen to pan, which means everything is one. It's just this incredibly potent image of eternal, self-contained unity that became a huge deal in alchemy and other esoteric traditions. And the same core principle echoes through some major world religions. In Hinduism, the goal is to realize that your individual soul, or Atman, is actually identical to the ultimate reality, Brahman. In Buddhism, the pursuit of nirvana is about extinguishing the illusion of the individual self. And even that Gnostic quest we mentioned, it's all about freeing a divine spark to reunite it with the cosmic whole. You see, different paths, but they all lead to the same onist destination. Now, in more modern times, this idea often gets a different name, the perennial philosophy. It was a term made popular by the author Aldous Huxley, and it's basically the belief that all the world's religions are just different paths leading up the same mountain, all pointing to the same universal, onist truth. It's this idea of a wisdom of the ages that claims to unify all spirituality. Carl Jung took this cosmic idea and brought it right into the human mind, into psychology. He argued that real psychological health, what he called individuation, doesn't come from picking good over evil. No, it comes from uniting the opposites within yourself, the light and the dark, the conscious and the unconscious. For Jung, becoming whole meant integrating both into a single self. It's a perfect expression of that onist worldview. Okay, so ancient philosophy, deep history, why does any of this actually matter to us today? Well, because according to the source, this framework is like a decoder ring for the spiritual and cultural language that's all around us right now. The downstream effects of this one little choice, one or two, are just massive. Take a look at identity. Are you fundamentally divine, or are you a created individual? What about morality? Are good and evil just illusions that need to be balanced, or are they real opposites that are defined by a higher power? Or truth? Is it something you find deep inside yourself, or is it something revealed from the outside? You see, these aren't just minor disagreements. As the source suggests, they are two completely different operating systems for reality itself. So the source argues that when you hear words like holism or non-binary, or people talking about a new spiritual synthesis, what you're really hearing are modern versions of this ancient onist philosophy. It's the same core idea, just repackaged for the 21st century. And this quote, which is cited in the source, is a perfect example. Here you have the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, saying very plainly that yoga's real purpose isn't just physical exercise. It's a spiritual practice, and it's designed to help you achieve a sense of oneness. That's a classic onist goal, dissolving the self into the greater whole. So what's the core of the twoist counterargument? Well, the source points straight to this verse from the Christian Bible. From this perspective, the fundamental human mistake isn't failing to unite with the whole. No, it's worshiping created things instead of the creator. It's elevating nature or humanity or even a beautiful idea to the place that only God should have. This is the essential choice that really defines that twoist reality. So at the end of the day, we're left with this massive question. Is reality fundamentally one thing, or is it two? According to the framework we've walked through today, this isn't just some abstract debate for philosophers. It's a choice that every belief system and maybe every single one of us ultimately has to make. So the next time you hear someone talking about finding their inner truth or following a higher law, you might just ask yourself, are they operating in a world of one or a world of two? Thanks for joining us.